all your motivation is laying out plans that are worth attaining and then observing yourself moving towards them. Oh, Cody said, it took me 7 months, but I completed all the self-authoring suite in July. I'm still not motivated to do anything and waste all of my time. What do I do? Well, the first question is it true that you're not motivated to do anything? And is it true that you waste all of your time? It seems highly unlikely to me that both of those things are 100% true. So one of the things you might notice is, is there anything that you're motivated to do? I presume you're motivated to eat, although perhaps not. And I'm not being smart about this. Partly what I would say is two things. You might need some smaller goals. Like you have to shrink your goals to the point where you've established a plan forward that consists of steps that not only you would be willing to take, but that you would take. And so some of that's humility. It's like, man, I'm stuck. I can barely do anything. That's okay. Like, well, I'm laying in bed for 7 hours a day. Well, could I lay in bed for 6 hours and 6.5 hours tomorrow? Or while I'm in bed, could I do something somewhat useful? Could I read a book? Could I read one page of a book? Could I read a paragraph of a book? You have to find those steps forward that you would take. I really think it's useful to make friends with something like a Google Calendar, or whatever calendar program you might want to use, and start designing days that you would like to have, because that's the right way to use a calendar. And everyone out there that's listening, you should use a calendar to structure your days, because if you know what you're doing tomorrow, it decreases your anxiety substantially, because you need that kind of structure. You need a pathway. You need to have a map, and you need to know where you're located on the map, and you need to know how you're moving forward. And that gives you hope, because you're moving towards goals that you regard as worthwhile. And it stops you from being anxious, because you're not entirely directionless and lost. And so learning how to manage your time is useful. And you can start with a calendar. You can start with simple things, like you can put in, when you're likely to go to bed and when you're likely to get up. And regulating that's useful. That should be relatively ritualistically consistent. It's very difficult to get your life in order if your sleep-wake schedule is completely random, or if it's not aligned with like day and night, and if it's not aligned with the normative practices of other people. And so you may have to learn to get your sleep-wake cycle regulated properly. And then the same with your eating schedule. Those are very basic things. And you can do that badly, but that's what you want to approximate. 3 meals a day, let's say, because that's what people do normatively. And then you have to add small goals. Now, if that doesn't work, like if you can't make the goals small enough to achieve, it might be that you're not being humble enough with regards to your conceptions of your own ability. But you can tell if the goal that you put forward is a reasonable one if you're actually implementing it. Because if you're not, then by definition, it's not a reasonable goal. Like let's say you're sleeping all the time and your room is just a bloody complete disaster, and you think, well, I should clean up my room. It's like, well, maybe you can't, but maybe tomorrow you could hang up 2 shirts, or you could move 2 shirts from your bedroom to the laundry room, or you could bag up a bag of dirty clothes that you could conceivably take to a laundromat. And you just do that one thing, If your room's a catastrophe and you do that one thing, and then you did one thing like that for 15 days or 20 days, maybe your place would be in order. And so the trick is to get the trajectory right. And Cody, if that doesn't work, then you're going to need to talk to somebody. Maybe you need a partner that you can discuss these things with, where you both have a commitment, like a mutual commitment to attaining a certain set of goals. And that could be a friend, it could be somebody that you find online, it could be a professional. But if you find that you yourself you just can't get this going, then you're going to have to reach out to someone else to give you a hand. Because if you can't do it on your own, then, and maybe you shouldn't have to, then you have to reach out to other people. And so make your goals smaller. see if you can make friends with a schedule or a calendar. This is really important. All of you out there who aren't doing this, like I would say, all of the people that I know who have become successful in any way use a structured means to organize their time. They have lists of things to do. Like they have every day, there's a list of things to do that day. Every week, there's a list of things to do that week. Every month, there's a list of things to do that month. You know, at every level of temporal resolution, there's a sequence of plans, and those plans are implemented on a day-to-day basis. You cannot be, and successful isn't the right way of thinking about it, because I'm not thinking about, I'm not really thinking about rising up the corporate ladder. You know what I mean? And that's sort of what success has come to mean in our culture. That isn't what I mean. You can't have a life that you're going to find acceptable without that, because you need the vision and the plans to give you purpose and direction. That's where all your positive emotion comes from. All your motivation is laying out plans that are worth attaining and then observing yourself moving towards them. That's the source of most positive meaning. And then also, without that structure, you're so lost that you're going to be anxious and overwhelmed. It's really like being in a foreign country, like isolated and alone with no map. I don't know where the hell I am. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. The rains are going to come, the storms are going to come, and maybe it's winter, and I don't know where I am or where I'm going. And then the last thing, Cody, is like, rely on some other people, man. Maybe you'll be able to return the favor in the future. I know you'll feel bad maybe that you have to go to someone else. You'll feel weak and, that you're taking advantage of them. But people like to be helpful. They really do. And so it's a mark of trust in someone and confidence in them that you would ask to have a serious conversation with them. And if you don't have someone like that, then you need to find somebody like that. And maybe that means you have to interact more in online communities, or maybe you have to get the hell out there in the world. And there's lots of meetup groups and that sort of thing online that have organized themselves, and you can go there and hide in the back for a while, not talk to anybody. But you got to get the hell out there and make some social connections, because you cannot live alone. We're social creatures, and you need help, and maybe you'll be able to offer some help at some point in the future too.